Hi, I happily welcome you all to the today's English class. And in the today's class, we are going to continue the story which we have discussed in the previous class. In the previous class, we were discussing the lesson Mr. Sherlock Holmes. Yes, we all know about Sherlock Holmes, the greatest detective of all time. And this story is an extract from the story The Hound of Baskervilles. The author of this story is Arthur Conan Doyle. We have completed a part of the story in the previous class. A person has come to meet Sherlock Holmes, but he left before Sherlock Holmes arrives. And in the next day, Dr. Watson and Mr. Sherlock Holmes, they were discussing about that person, that new person who had come to meet Sherlock Holmes. And they were reconstructing him, who he was, what he was doing, why has he come to meet him. And they got many guesses, and finally they came to the conclusion that he was a country doctor. And he abandoned his career in London. They did everything just by analyzing the stick he left behind. Yes, the stranger had left his stick in Sherlock Holmes' home. And on that stick there was some teeth marks, and it was by a dog. So he also a possessor of dog. And as per their assumption, he was Dr. Mortimer, Dr. James Mortimer, MRCS, who worked in Charing Cross Hospital and left his career and moved to country and became a house surgeon. Dr. Watson, he read everything from the medical record. Yes, he had a medical record in his shelf, and from that he had found out his details, a short detail of him. And in this class, we are going to see what had happened next. And then Dr. Watson replied, "A country doctor? Yes, you're perfectly right. And you have used some adjectives. Yes, adjectives like amiable, unambitious and absent-minded. Yes, it is my experience that it is only an amiable, a friendly person in this world who receives testimonials from others. Only an unambitious one abandons a London career for the country. And only absent-minded man leaves his stick and not his visiting card after waiting an hour in your room." Yes, he had waited an hour in Sherlock Holmes' room, and absent-mindedly he has left his stick but not his visiting card. And also Sherlock Holmes was talking about a dog. Yes, Dr. Watson saw that dog. It was not a terrier and not a mastiff. It is a spaniel. The dog is a spaniel breed. Sherlock Holmes stood and started walking away to the window and standing near by the window. Sherlock Holmes asked Watson, "My dear friend, how do you know that? How can you be sure that it was a spaniel?" Dr. Watson replied, "I see it with my eyes on our very doorstep. The appearance of a visitor was a surprise to me. He was very tall, thin man with a long nose like a beak, grey eyes set closely together and sparkling brightly behind a pair of gold-rimmed glasses." Dr. Watson explained his appearance to Sherlock Holmes. He was looking professional but very old-fashioned, for his frock coat was dusty and his trousers, they were frayed. Though he was young, his long back bowed, and when he was walking, his nose was thrusting towards and he walked. Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson were talking about Dr. Mortimer. And during that time, Dr. Mortimer, he entered the place. And on seeing the stick on Holmes' hand, he rushed towards and grabbed that stick and said, "I was not sure whether I had missed it in the shipping office or here, but I have finally found it." Yes, Dr. Mortimer was really happy. And Mortimer added, I would not lose it for the world. Yes, this tells that he liked that stick a lot. Because Dr. Mortimer had got it as a presentation. Sherlock Holmes, he asked, is it a presentation? Mortimer replied, yes. From Charing Cross Hospital, on the occasion of my marriage. One or two friends, they have given this as a gift. Holmes was confused because he thought that he left the hospital and it was given as a farewell gift. But truly it was not. He got this presentation as a marriage gift. And Mortimer said, I married and I left the hospital and moved to the country. And during that ongoing conversation, Dr. Watson, he involved and he said, Dr. James Mortimer, Mr. Humble MRCS, and a man of precise mind, evidently. Dr. James Mortimer replied to Dr. Watson, I'm an amateur in science, Mr. Holmes. He thought Dr. Watson is Holmes. And then he asked, I am speaking to Sherlock Holmes, the greatest detective. Am I right? Sherlock Holmes from other side. No sir, this is my assistant Dr. Watson. Sherlock Holmes was silent and noticing his actions. The word I think of, it's just not like that he just wanted to make friends with Sherlock Holmes. He had come for some other reason, they thought. And they asked Dr. Mortimer, we believe that you didn't come the last night and again today just for making friendship. And Mortimer replied, no sir, I came to you recognizing that you are one of the best detectives of all time. And I'm now facing really an extraordinary and serious problem that only the topmost detectives could solve it. Sherlock Holmes, he replied to him, kindly tell me plainly what the exact nature of the problem is in which you demand my assistance. And that's all. That's what given in our English textbook. That's the end of our today's class. I hope you have understood the lesson very well. Thank you for watching this